Good Wednesday evening, May 21st, 2025, ladies and gentlemen. And my name is Hunter here at Weather on the Go. And we're going to be talking about the upcoming pattern here through late May and into June, as we have a couple of pattern changes ahead. And that could include some severe weather, some heavy rainfall, and some temperature fluctuations with cooler temperatures, hotter temperatures. We're going to talk about it in the video. So make sure to like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share it with friends, family, anybody that you know. I definitely appreciate it here. If you have any questions about the forecast, make sure to comment down below in the comment section down below the video. So we are seeing a pesky low pressure system up around the Great Lakes really over the last 24 hours. It did bring us some severe weather to the deep south as we gone into yesterday evening. It is just bringing a lot of cloud cover and gloomy conditions and a lot of rainfall to the northern U.S. Cooler air because of the cloud cover and the rainy conditions to the north. Warmer air and some unstable air with some severe weather at times across the south. And we did see some pretty cool temperatures from Canada, really from Saskatchewan all the way down here, funneling into the upper Midwest. Temperature anomalies today, at least this afternoon, were 25 degrees below normal. And we see some of those highs only into the 40s across a large chunk of the Dakotas, into southern Minnesota, into portions of Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, stretching over into Michigan, and a large chunk as well into the 40s and 50s across the Northeast. A lot of cloud cover, some precipitation here and there with mainly lighter rainfall rates. That's giving us our cooler temperatures. In fact, circled out here, we actually did have some record low highs this afternoon across the Grand Rapids area, Rockford, Illinois, extending back up toward the Bismarck area, so it was pretty cool. In contrast, we were much warmer down here in South Texas, along the Gulf Coast and into Florida, and then up the eastern Carolinas. Into the 90s we saw this afternoon, and at 102 in Phoenix. So the heat is not too far behind, but it is definitely much further south than what you would expect here this time of year. We are seeing some showers and storms. This is our pesky low pressure system we're talking about. That will continue to drive some showers, rumbles of thunder to the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast overnight tonight. Just a good day to stay inside and a good night to stay inside and read a book or watch a movie or something. Definitely just, not really great outside. Kind of a raw night across the north. A little bit warmer down to the south could spark some isolated strong to severe storms overnight, but we're really not going to see a lot of precipitation from them. They're going to kind of dwindle as we lose the daytime heating to the south. We are seeing some rainfall across the mid-Atlantic, especially into New Jersey, where we could see upwards to an inch of rain tonight. That's where the center of that low pressure is, and it's kind of like a vacuum, right? It's kind of scooping up all that moisture from the Atlantic and dumping it right over the state of New Jersey there overnight. We are monitoring the prospects of severe weather going into tomorrow. This is for Thursday, May 22nd. Slight risk of severe weather. That's a 2 out of 5 on the risk scale. Storm Prediction Center did update this a few hours ago and upgraded to that yellow area. So that does include the Dallas-Fort Worth area, up across the Red River Valley into southeast Oklahoma, southwestern Arkansas there. And this could include the threat for some big-time hail. It's not very strange in Texas that we see big hail. Everything's bigger in Texas, right? That's at least the saying. And we could be seeing upwards to tennis ball size hail here into the Dallas-Fort Worth area tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening with those storms. That could stretch into southeastern Oklahoma, followed by the threat for up to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts and a low but non-zero chance for a couple of tornadoes here. This is a 2% chance of tornadoes in the light green. This does encompass the entirety of the DFW Metroplex, so we're keeping an eye on that. What's driving this is our surface-based instability. This is our storm energy, and this is over 4 to even 5,000 joules per kilogram, pretty strong, and that will support storm organization as we go through tomorrow. Now, this is what you call the significant tornado parameter space. The higher the number, the more rotation there is in the atmosphere. Here's midday tomorrow around noon. Notice the numbers are around 2 to 3, so there's a little bit of rotation in the atmosphere. But watch the direction in which the rotation moves tomorrow from north to south, because we have an outflow boundary for some pretty strong supercells that will develop to the north in Oklahoma tomorrow early mid-afternoon, and then that outflow boundary from them will shift south into North Texas and East Texas. And on the leading edge of that outflow boundary, we could have those little kinks in the hose, and that could give us some rotation and give us some tornado potential into the DFW Metroplex. Peak heating tomorrow mid-afternoon through at least the early evening hours. So here is 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, outside of a couple storms up here with some hail up into southern Missouri. Not really looking at any big severe weather. Now, as we go to the noon hour, we are seeing initiation of supercellular, or at least clustering of thunderstorms in central and eastern Oklahoma. This will drive an outflow boundary likely down across southern portions of Oklahoma and into North Texas. And on the leading edge of that outflow boundary, additional storms will form, rumble through the Dallas-Fort Worth area here, including the Garland area of Texas, Denison, Paris, all the way down toward Waco. We'll keep an eye on that. And those storms could pack a punch with some big hail, big wind, and some tornadoes. We'll keep an eye on that going into the overnight hours tomorrow. Then going to Friday, May 23rd, there is a level 1 out of 5 in the dark green, marginal risk of severe weather from the panhandle of Nebraska and northeast Colorado, down through much of Kansas, again into Oklahoma there, Missouri and Arkansas, West Texas, and then down here into Florida. Right now, just looking at a low-end day for severe weather. Overall, going through Saturday morning, May 24th, heaviest of our rain with our storms will be focused into the central plains, so into eastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma near Tulsa, and then getting in toward the Joplin area, Springfield, Missouri, and Branson. Those will be the areas that see the heavier repeated rounds of storms going into the Friday time frame. Otherwise, the northeast, look how widespread our soaking rains will be up here. That low pressure system, and actually double-barreled area of low pressure, will work in tandem to bring a lot of moisture through as we go into tonight. Going into Thursday afternoon, look at 995 low pressure off of the Long Island coast and New England coast. Will bring some heavier rainfall to New York City, Hartford, Providence, all the way up to Boston there tomorrow. That'll continue as we go into Friday. Yes, the blue is showing up, some snow in the higher elevations of Maine and northern New Hampshire, and that will be short-lived, but some colder rains to be had, and that will continue as we go into Saturday morning on May 24th, but not before dumping some healthy rains across the New England coastline. Boston, down here, Providence, Hartford, New York City, including eastern Long Island especially. Upwards to 3 inches of rainfall and some localized ponding of water in low-lying poor drainage areas and on local roadways. So make sure that you are not driving on any flooded roadways at all. So if you do see those, avoid those roads, but definitely seeing some healthy rains. And that extends back into New York State and Pennsylvania, New Jersey, with around an inch or two of rain there as well, leading up to the weekend. The important Memorial Day weekend is ahead, and we are going to be seeing a trough across the Northeast here for that weekend, and we're seeing a ridge across the South Central U.S. You blink, you miss it. Another small trough or shortwave moving across the Central and Southern Rockies will spark more showers and storms because we have a boundary kind of diffuse and sitting here across the southern plains and the deep south, and this will be a focal point for differential heating. You got cooler to the north and warmer to the south, and where we have that lift is right there in the clash of the air masses. And looking at those temperatures here for the weekend ahead, for Memorial Day weekend, this is Saturday, May 24th, 90s favored southern Kansas and western Oklahoma, and triple digits potentially in western and southern Texas, 90s near the Gulf Coast. A little bit cooler to start the Memorial Day weekend up into the northeast and the 40s. Rebounding in the upper Midwest into the middle and upper 60s. We go to Sunday, May 25th, and notice we're seeing a lot of nice temperatures out there in the north central U.S. in the 60s, 50s and 60s in the Northeast, and more 90s, triple-digit heat down near the Gulf Coast and South Texas. Here's Memorial Day itself on Monday, May 26th. Notice a large chunk of the U.S. actually seeing reasonably nice temperatures, with a lot of 60s and 70s out there. The warmest of the air will be across the desert Southwest, of course. You look at those areas this time of year, 102 in Phoenix, and then down here in Florida where it's been very dry, mid-90s. But outside of that, pretty nice temperatures for Memorial Day weekend. Now, will the thunderstorms stay at bay? Well, as we go into the weekend, at least the start of it, on Saturday, May 24th, a couple clusters of showers and storms to start the day for Oklahoma and Arkansas, and then additional storms will be rumbling across similar zones from Missouri down into Oklahoma and Arkansas Saturday afternoon, evening. A few of those could be severe, and then we'll repeat that process, but further south going into Sunday. Could be a relatively bigger day for severe weather, maybe a slight enhanced risk day potentially of severe weather across the DFW area, Shreveport, Pine Bluffs, and Jackson, Mississippi. We'll keep an eye on that. A big complex of showers and storms could bring us some damaging winds and hail on this day and a couple of tornadoes. And then for Memorial Day, that boundary will set up further to the south across the Gulf Coast, and that could set up some coastal Texas storms, Houston, Corpus Christi, Lake Charles, and New Orleans, all the way over to Gulfport and Mobile. Keeping an eye plan that there for Memorial Day. But overall, Memorial Day weekend, the 72-hour period between Saturday, May 24th and Memorial Day, Monday, May 26th, we're going to be seeing some pretty heavy rainfall here into the mid and lower Mississippi Valley, Tennessee Valley regions. The drier areas are going to be out west, especially the desert Southwest, into the upper Midwest and Great Lakes, and the Northeast will be drying out as well after a very rainy end to our week this week. And then going through the last few days of May, trough will continue to be pesky over here into the Northeast, not wanting to go away. Ridge really building in the southern Canadian prairies and out west, and that will promise warmer times for the southern Canadian prairies. For our friends up there in Alberta, Saskatchewan, especially northern and central Manitoba and northern Ontario, where up there we could be seeing temperatures 30 degrees above normal, about 15 to 20 degrees above normal there the last few days of May out west, and then cooler here across the heartland and into the eastern United States. Temperatures 10, 15, maybe 20 degrees below normal, give or take, into that time frame. And that boundary will be the focal point for showers and storms heading into the last few days of May. Drier across the north, so the upper Midwest, central and northern plains will be dry. The southern Canadian prairies too, so we'll be warming up, but we'll also be dry across those areas. And then heading into June, a preview here. We did show you the summer forecast preview earlier on if you watched my video this morning. We are actually looking at some warmer times as a big ridge of high pressure is building across the west and south as we go into June, and that will anchor some high heat across those areas of the Rockies, southern plains, and desert Southwest, and drier weather out there as well. So it's going to be hot and dry in June. And then we got to watch the apex of the ridge. The jet stream is going to start to retreat north into Canada and toward the U.S.-Canadian border. That could give us our storm complexes that we watch for into June, especially the middle and late portion of June. We have to watch those for derechos, and derechos are fast-moving lines of storms that produce hurricane-force wind gusts of 75 miles per hour to 100 miles an hour. Most intense derechos could produce winds over 100 miles per hour in a large chunk of real estate, and they cover multiple states sometimes. So we'll continue to watch those as we go into June, and you know, derechos can even produce tornadoes and hail as well. Those are more favored across the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley here as we go into June, and then more tropical influence for rains down to the southeast. So Florida could start to get wetter as we go deeper into June as well. So a lot to look at as we go ahead into the forecast. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up and comment below if you have any questions. Subscribe to the channel so I can keep you updated on your forecasts, and I'll see you all in the next video.